Counting down real fast.
Oh, he's here.
Okay.
10 seconds.
Good afternoon and welcome to our regular council meeting for November 20th, 2023. This time I'd like to acknowledge the traditional territories and the oral practices of the Blackfoot Nation, which include the Siksika, the Kainai, and the Piikani. We also acknowledge the Tsuut'ina, the Stoney Nakoda First Nations, the Métis Nation Region 3, and all people who make their homes in the Treaty 7 region of Southern Alberta. We're making this acknowledgement to demonstrate our continuing efforts to work together as we strive for reconciliation through increased and collective learning. Okay, we'll start it off. We got a staff introduction. Amanda.
Through the chair to mayor and council, I'd like to introduce Evan Verhoef, who joined our organization on November 6th as our newest Recreation Operator 1 in Recreation Services. Evan, do you want to stand? Evan lives in Brooks. He has come to us from the Brooks Golf Course as a pro shop attendant. And something very interesting about Evan is that he has a plethora of knowledge relating to vast amount of Legos that he owns. Therefore, if you have any questions surrounding Legos, please be sure to reach out to Evan. We are thrilled that Evan has decided to become a part of our organization and join our recreation operating team, and we would welcome you, Evan.
We won't get you to say anything there, Evan. I'm just kind of curious, what's your most expensive piece of Lego? Oh, that's not bad. Put it on your Christmas list. Yeah. Okay. Moved by Councilor Nesbitt that the agenda be adopted. All those in favor? Carried. Okay. Moved by Councilor Prentice that the minutes from the regular council meeting held November 6, 2023 be approved. All those in favor? Carried. Moved by Councilor Wardrop that the October 2023 RCMP report be accepted as information. Joe.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. Sergeant Searle's away this week, so I got to fill in for him. From the report we have here, for month of October, Brooks Detachment, we responded to 397 calls for service. We had a total of 30 prisoners that were lodged in the cells, and 157 municipal criminal record checks were completed, and 39 violation tickets issued by the RCMP. Some significant events from some of the investigations over October. On October 4th, at 7 p.m., we had a report of witnesses of a red Cadillac Escalade speeding through a construction zone on Silver Sage Road, and a female was observed falling outside of the passenger door. The female had suffered very critical injuries, resulting in quite a long, lengthy stay in hospital. She has since been released, and she's working on her recovery. We put out a public media release for the Escalade. It was shortly located, not too far away, and from us seizing the vehicle, we were able to complete a search warrant on it. Some of the evidence gathered from that search warrant identified a suspect to us. The suspect and the female were known to each other. It was quite a lengthy and involved investigation, and it resulted in, on November 7th, we had to use a joint effort with our emergency response team, ERT, our Southern Alberta Crime Reduction Unit and General Investigation Unit, our interview team. We had executed the search warrant on a house and located the male, and held that house for a search warrant as well. He was arrested, and he's facing 22 criminal code charges, kidnapping, assault with a weapon, 3 charges, a bunch of firearms related offenses, theft of a motor vehicle, and a whole bunch of conditions charges that were on him because he was already gone through our justice system and he was out on conditions. So that one's before courts now, and he's being remanded into custody. Another one, we were doing some proactive patrols. We located a male that was familiar to us, known to us. He had a bunch of outstanding warrants out of Medicine Hat, and he was riding his bicycle. We had a very young and in shape officer, like a gazelle, saw him, took off on foot after him, and was able to catch him shortly later, and he was remanded into custody, so thank goodness for youth. And a 3-year-old resident was brought to cells, and he's been remanded, and he's going to be facing further charges into obstructing a police officer. Another report on October 26th, about 4 p.m. We had 2 males in a home. They got into an argument. The argument escalated to a new level that it didn't have to be. However, it turned physical. One of them ended up being stabbed in the back, literally. The victim suffered minor injuries, and he was treated in hospital and released. 34-year-old resident out of Brooks. He's been charged with assault with a weapon. They have conditions not to associate with each other until it goes through court, and he's going to be facing some court time as well. So essentially, that's kind of the overview. We did have a new Safe Communities member hired in Kendra's place, big shoes to fill, so we're happy to welcome Kelly Sanford to the team. So she's going to be slowly getting up to speed in the social media world and helping our community office out with that. And yeah, so good things coming hopefully from her, so hopefully she's liking it so far.
Okay, any questions? I had one. We had talked about fine revenue, and the fine revenue was down from what we anticipated, and that would be from traffic fine revenue there.
Yeah.
Why would that be?
I don't have specifics on it. Sergeant Searle mentioned that you'd brought it up to him too. We're still fact checking on that to find out exactly where it's be. We've been handing out a lot of violation tickets, but I've noticed a lot more tickets are getting disputed into court, and a lot of times then it's the judge's decision to whether he wants to agree to plea them down for a lesser fine, a lesser charge, that sort of thing. So I don't know how much of a portion that plays into it. Yeah. I know our members have been handing them out quite a bit, but I mean, one good thing that's been coming from it, like we've been doing a lot of proactive checks, especially after Bandits games, that sort of stuff. I think we did one the other day. Out of 90 cars that were checked after the last event, there was 1 impaired, only 1 infraction, nobody on a phone, nobody with seatbelts, no nothing like that. So we did another one on Thanksgiving. Over 150 cars were checked. We had 1 person that was impaired. 1 other violation ticket for driving without a supervisor was there. So I don't know if the revenue is down is a good thing that things are changing, but I can't give total specifics on that just yet.
Okay, good, thank you. Okay, any other questions? Okay, Councillor Idris.
Thank you for the report, and thank you for these press releases that you are sending out recently. It has been an eye-opening to see some of the work that you are doing. 2 things, in partially also maybe, you know, thinking from a community perspective. There are a lot of, and you mentioned here, issues around theft and break and enter and things like that. Is there any new thing increase, or is this just something that maybe we haven't been hearing before through these press releases and now we are hearing about?
I think it's more prevalent that we're putting more and more out there, where we've been over the last few months, like really ramped up the communication end of it to a lot of platforms we used to have to be able to put out like proactive, like our own Facebook pages and stuff like that. Organizationally, we're really not, there's not a lot of enthusiasm for it. So we're trying to do as much releases as we can. So I think seeing a lot more of that in the report, I know when I get questioned when I'm, you know, not working and stuff around the community and stuff, is people are asking, you know, is it that bad? It's really, I look at the numbers, there's no vast increase. It's just, we're putting it out there so everybody knows exactly what's going on. You know, the person's offenses in this time frame that was up quite a bit. Break-ins were up to 61 from 42 the year previous. With that being said, those were mostly, you know, numbers don't tell the whole story. Those numbers were in the first week or 2 of October, and 2 people who were, you know, doing that got arrested for it, put in jail. We haven't really seen any more thefts of vehicles. We're down quite a bit. So we're trying to get more proactive in that and just releasing it. There's a lot more stuff that goes on that we're just not allowed to do press releases on, when it's like family violence. We don't want to put anybody in a position to be re-victimized through a press release or identify somebody, so a lot of matters aren't there. So when I send them through and do them up every day, a lot of times it's not that there's nothing, it's just that I can't release it. But we are trying to put as much as we can out there just to kind of paint the full picture for everybody, because everybody wonders what the heck we're doing half the time or what's going on down the road, and we like to shed light on it because we're just as curious as everybody else is too. So
Any other questions? Okay, good. Thank you
awesome.
for your
Well,
time
thank
this
you guys very
afternoon.
much for having me.
Yeah, have a wonderful afternoon. Okay, to the motion, all those in favor? Carried. Okay, moved by Councillor Goodenough that the following items of correspondence be received as information updates on council conferences and workshops, council committee reports, today Councillor Idris, Councillor Goodenough, Councillor Prentice, accounts payable listing, and council committee notes from November 14th, 2023. Let's start off with the council committee reports, and we'll start off with Councillor Idris there.
Thank you. I'm going to talk about some of the committees that I have been on for a while, and then a couple committees that I just joined after the organizational meeting in October. Safe Communities, as we just heard, there is a new coordinator, Kelly Sanford. Many of you know her from her work on the Summer Games. The 55 plus summer games. She has been with the city now for a while, and she accepted the position as a coordinator. So we are looking forward now to re-engage with her and see where things with the plans that we have already in place go. I actually missed one meeting there, so we didn't. I think it's only one meeting I'm reporting on, and then the Chamber of Commerce, actually the tourism, the Brooks Region Tourism. My last meeting with them was the AGM in September. I understand my colleague Joel Goodenough is now the councillor on the committee, and that is, I think, there was a meeting after that. But I joined the Chamber of Commerce. I attended the first meeting of I attended a special general meeting. There was a special general meeting last Friday. I think there will be more to come, but there was a motion that was passed at the meeting there to dissolve the Brooks and District Chamber of Commerce. The motion passed by the membership. The idea is that after folding, we are going to be part of a new Chamber of Commerce that's going to emerge. Medicine Hat Chamber is becoming the Southeast Alberta Chamber of Commerce. We are looking forward to see what does that mean. We have received assurances from the current board of the Brooks Chamber saying that part of the negotiation of joining that group is that we will still have representation on the board there. So a councillor and a business individual will be on the new board with the Southeast Alberta Chamber of Commerce. There is also assurances that there will be actually a full-time person hired for our community to engage with the business in our community, so that we wouldn't lose that connection with the chamber. The idea is not to be the forgotten stepchild of the bigger chamber, but to be a partner of that chamber, and see even more engagement with the business community in even trying to do bigger trade shows, bigger annual events and things like that. I also joined the library board. I attended my first meeting with the library board. Interestingly enough, there was a board. I think they have a board learning thing in every board. In the day was my first meeting there was Shortgrass came and presented on this library systems that we work within. What does that mean? How do they support the local libraries? How does the local libraries engage with the system? And it was a very good opportunity to have that learning. We also looked through the plan of service, and the plan of service for the libraries is the strategic plan. what we know in other worlds as the strategic plan. They call it the plan of service, which talks about what is their major objectives that they need to cover within 3 to 5 years. And I'm happy to report that many of the things that is in the plan of service that the library have developed are actually either already happening or happened, or there is quite a good progress. I also had the opportunity to attend a board staff get-together. The board has an annual get-together with the staff. It was a very pleasant event to meet those who do the day-to-day business, the day-to-day job in the library, and listen to them and hear about the issues and the trends that they are seeing in the community. At the board, we also talked about with the library our size, we need to have an MLIS, someone who has a Master's of Library Information Systems on our staff. And that have proven difficult to hire in the last couple of years. Many people who have these qualifications, they either are looking to work for bigger libraries in big cities, or they just use our library as a stepping stone to go somewhere else. It's becoming very, very difficult to find someone with that qualification to be on staff, especially considering that we don't put them in a senior position. So the pay expectation that they may have from having a master's in library information system sometimes doesn't match with what we can offer. So there is some talks, and that is what the board was talking about. There is some talks around having some sort of an understanding with the municipal affairs, the library, the public library branch, to find a creative way to have someone in that qualification be engaged with the library, maybe on a part-time basis, maybe on a remote, service for fee basis or something like that. And there are some communication happening with the municipal affair office around that. Finally, I also attended my first meeting with the Shortgrass Library System board. And the Shortgrass Library System is this board composed of elected officials from all the different communities that Shortgrass services. It was the first meeting, I believe, of course, after every council had their organizational meeting. So because of that, there was an election of officers, chair, vice chair, and things like that. And then couple things that we talked about, some interesting discussions actually. In one of the things that we talked about is this increased demand of audio materials within the library world. And actually, no matter how much money you put towards it, there is more demand. No matter how much money you put towards it, there is more demand. And in this audio system, it's not like when me or you or individual go and buy an audio book. It's different with library systems. You are basically licensing it to maybe rent it out for 20, 30, 40 times. Otherwise, there is fees you need to pay and things like that. So these are increasing, and everyone is going towards that. Another interesting discussion that we had is the use of AI in the library world, whether from staff, whether from volunteers and things like that. Nowadays, many things could be done by AI. It's becoming my actually cheat when I have some work to do and I don't want to do it. I ask AI to help me with that. So we actually passed a policy. Around staff use of AI and staff and volunteer use of AI. What does that mean? How can we do it ethically? Who's the liability and things like that? Actually, a very interesting policy, and I suggest everyone actually look at something like that in all organizations. And finally, we talked about, so right now, if you are trying to get a library membership, at the end of the day, whether you do it online or you do it, if you walk down to the library and do it, there is a human intervention. Someone needs to put this information in the system to verify that you live in Brooks, so that you qualify to have a library card with Brooks or Medicine Hat or wherever it is. So there is actually a project around integrating the Alberta ID, which is the government ID, online, so that if you need to get a library card, you use that Alberta ID system, so that it's immediately, if you go log in and pay the fee, if there is a fee, and you register, because your license is already there, it has the address and everything, you automatically get a library card. Because right now, for example, if I want to get a library card from Brooks, even if I go online and register, I won't be able to access the system immediately, because someone next day in the morning will have to come and make sure that I do live in Alberta, I do live in Brooks to qualify. It's an interesting project. We are now, I think, two shortgrass system in another system in the north is leading this project. If it happens, it may then becomes a provincial project where all the library systems follow. But interestingly enough, and this is a personal opinion, I think the Alberta ID system is not really friendly yet, like user-friendly yet. Like when I needed to get my Alberta ID online, I needed to do something, the government needs to send me some papers, and you need to go through like 2 or 3 authentication things. So when we think about some of the people who use the library, who may not that familiar with technology, this could create a barrier. So the assurance is that even if we go there, that will not mean everyone will have to go there. If you want to go down to the library and do it manually, you can still do it. But for those who wanted to do it through using this online system, then it will be something that they can use. I think that is most of the things that I wanted to touch on.
And I had, for the person that has to have masters, is that a requirement, or it is a?
So actually, some background. This has been a requirement for a long time, okay? And I remember when I used to be on the library board, like 7, 8 years ago, the head of the library was that person. So we used to hire head librarians. We didn't have a library manager position, and we paid that level. But that board, I think about now 7, 8 years ago, decided that we are not getting the consistency we need, because the longest we had someone with that qualification stay as a head librarian for Brooks is like 2 years, okay? And they go to Banff Library or Calgary Library or something like that. So we decided to move that position to a programming position. So we still have an MLIS that we hire in a programming position, and then hire a library manager who's someone local, who knows the community, who knows how to manage the organization. The requirement doesn't say that person needs to be the most senior person in the organization. It just says that you have to have someone in the library that is an MLIS.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for him? Councillor, Wardrop, did you have one? Yeah, go ahead.
Just a quick question about the policy about staff use of AI. So so what kind of usage are staff able to or I guess how are they able to use AI? If you could just share a little bit, you might don't go through the whole policy.
I think mainly it's about being ethical. So you are not plagiarizing. You are not, stealing someone else's work and say this is my work and things like that. So the ethical part first, and then the second part is the privacy, because for example, you can ask AI. Tell them that I work in the library in Medicine Hat and we are trying to do this and this and this. Can you help me with this? Just say I work in the library. Don't say I work in the library in Medicine Hat to AI. So the idea of privacy and whether it is general privacy or client information or things like that. And then the idea of liability. If you rely on that and take some decisions, who is liable? Is it AI? Is it yourself? Is it all that?
And because these are policies that we'll have to adopt broadly Did you use somebody else, like another framework, or did you come up with this all on your own?
I
With your
actually
board?
haven't been with them in how did, like, so the meeting I was in is the meeting that the policy arrived and we just looked at it. I
Oh.
don't know if they used the framework from before. But it came, it was ready, and I just read through it.
Excellent. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Okay, still with council committee reports, Councilor Prentice.
Yeah, the new regional landfill, the scales are, the new scale house and stuff is being worked on right now. They got the piling and concrete work done for the pads are poured for the new scales. And the services are put in, water, sewer, and power and all that sort of stuff is all installed to the point. And the scales and the scale house are ready in Calgary, and they'll be, should be installed by the first week in December, possibly, depending on weather, and how gotta let the concrete stuff and that settle. And there's some road work to be done in front of that, which won't stop that too much. So hopefully by the middle of December, that the new scales and stuff should be installed. Hopefully be operating by the end of December, first of the year for sure, depending on the weather. It's been pretty busy with the temporary scale. They had to move them from that position to where the new one are going. So it's been quite a job out there for them guys to keep up with it. But there's also a big contract from Calgary with the material that's coming in, contaminated soil, and they're up to a few days there. They had up to 80 trucks a day out of Calgary, which is really a high amount. But it's good for landfill. Lots of money being made that way. So hopefully that'll all be put together and ready to go by then. So it'll make a big difference out at the landfill. The new recycling, it's been really busy. We've got lots of plastic coming in, and that's from the oil companies and local contractors and whatever. The price of that is really good, so it's a good money maker for the land, or for the recycle. And the prices for the plastic is $300 a ton right now. Colored paper's $232, and cardboard's finally went up to $120 a ton, and newsprint's at $165. So with the cardboard up now, it's really made a difference in the financial part of the operation, because we're first of all losing money on it before. So, and there's no more stockpile of cardboard; it's all gone. So hopefully it keeps up for the future. So.
Good. Any questions? Okay, Councilor Goodenough.
Yeah, a few things just to report on, I guess. Just like Councillor Idriss, got some changes happening, so that's good. I'm on the tourism board now, so we had our first meeting last week, or last month, I guess, and we discussed summer tourism was not as expected for many businesses, which was kind of sad to hear. That many of our tourism businesses, that they thrive on the summer, the numbers weren't there. And so it's going to be taking some time, I think, in this next year to look at what's our strategy moving forward for our small businesses, and what can we do as a tourism board to help them and to promote the region. So that was kind of a surprise to hear that. Our Silver Sage committee, we've got some facility reports. We're going to be working on some roofs and some outdoor arena for the future. Also, we've got a vision and strategy meeting coming up, and how we're going to move the Silver Sage to bigger and better in the next years to come. And I'm looking forward to that. And then we've actually been applying for grants for upgrades in equipment for our contestants or riders out there. And so that's, we've been hearing some good feedback on that. So that's coming up, and possibly a New Year's Eve event that we'll be hosting out there again this year. So that's coming up. Community Futures, Entrecourt. We had our Economic Growth Forum October 26th and 27th in Medicine Hat College. And basically it hit some areas on irrigation. We had a gentleman from the St. Mary's region talking about their amalgamation and their growth of expanding their irrigation and the transformation that they're seeing within the farming area and the agriculture sector. Energy transition, as we all know, we're all facing that, and so we talked a lot about that. There's a speaker on that. Opportunities for project funding through Entrecourt through Apex or through Community Futures, Ontacore, and through Canadian programs and Alberta funding programs. There's about 120 delegates there for the 2 days, so that was good. Also, for many of our small businesses that do get loans through Ontacore, we're going to be changing our interest rates. We do lend out to businesses that don't go through the conventional banking system. And so we're going to be going probably to about 10.75 from 9.75. And so that'll be a change. So, but that's kind of the economy we're in right now. MPC, we're looking forward to having a new member join here. We voted on that last week. Zin will be joining the team. And I think that just needs to be ratified by council coming up here. But she'll be a great asset to the team. And MPC is always busy and short meetings, right, Bill? We like our meetings short. We're right to the point. So those are coming along. And last thing, I think just with joint services, the thing I'd talk about right now is just as joint services working with the county, how do we work together for economic growth, whether it's in the region or in the city, and how do we partner together to draw in people? And I think what I'm excited about all my committees this term or this year is that they're all involving businesses and tourism and partnership. And so I'm really excited for this next season. So that's my report.
Okay, I don't know if you can answer this one too, because Community Futures dealt a lot of the CEBA loans there. Just kind of curious on what their, and you just be really general on that, if people were paying them back on that.
Yeah, so Alberta was the highest rate that received the CEBA loans, and to date, I believe it's January 17th, the federal government did extend it,
Okay.
that loan portion, but it is expected that that repayment will have to start. I can't give you the numbers, but it is expected that quite a few will default in Alberta, which basically means a lot of small businesses will have either shut down now or will be detrimental in this next year. Okay. So if the federal government could do anything, we would encourage that, an extension.
Extension on that, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, good. Thank you. Okay,
Thank you.
okay. Councillor Woodruff, you were at trip to water treatment facility, wastewater, I guess.
Yes, thank you. So on Friday, November 9th, Councillor Nesbitt, Councillor Goodenough, and our Manager of Public Works and I traveled to Leslieville. We went to check out Magna Engineering's biofilter wetland wastewater system. And so the engineers met us there and gave us a tour of the site. So we got to walk in, go through all of the facility, get right into the cells and check out how everything goes. So it was a really valuable trip. I learned a lot about how wastewater treatment facilities work. This one is really interesting and could be really beneficial for us in Brooks, not just for wastewater, but for stormwater. Stormwater particularly will be more of a priority now that wastewater isn't as urgent. But this way, the way that this system works is it's a natural water filtration system. So it ends up reducing costs, startup costs, operational costs. You don't have to deal with the, like if you don't have a mechanical system, obviously it's going to be a lot less expensive. And we saw with our own eyes just how effective it is. It was wild. We went to the first stop where the solid waste comes into the facility, and it's kind of ground down. By the time it makes its way through this first cell, you've got clear water, no odor. It's mind-boggling. And there's no chemicals, there's no operational costs. The waste literally travels through pipes, expels, and then 8 hours later you have clean water. Then it goes through another cell and then does another kind of round of treatment. But it's also a passive system. So, you know, for a community our size, it's really ideal if that's something, you know, if we needed to replace our system or expand our system even, it would be, I think, a great direction to go. In terms of stormwater, the same sort of concept applies. And our manager of Public Works was talking about the need to upgrade our stormwater system. Place like Lake Stafford, it would be, in my opinion, unfortunate if we had to put a mechanical system there. This way it could be kind of built into the natural habitat. It would be passive and very effective and in terms of the actual treatment of the water and cost. So it's a system well worth looking at for us, and I'm hoping to travel to Chestermere at some point to go and check out their stormwater system. So they've got, these are popping up all over the place. I should mention too that this system is the first one in Canada. It's the first one in Canada, it's not the first one in the world. So it's pretty common in other places in the world. And then the stormwater systems, there's a few in Calgary, there's a few in Chestermere, and I can't remember where else they were. Estevan. They were set up and they're functioning well, and from my understanding, they're fantastic. So we were invited to go check out Chestermere next time we were going through that area, and I look forward to seeing the stormwater kind of in action. So, I believe that's it. If you have any questions, I'd do my best to answer.
Okay, any questions? Oh, go ahead, Councillor Nesbitt, yeah.
I just wanted to mention that in Leslieville, that system they got is perfectly done for them. It was really neat, well taken care of, but it would only house 3,000 residents.
Yeah.
So a system in Brooks would have to be 7 times larger than what they have there. And again, that would take a vast amount of space to do that.
Okay.
But it was really well done.
Yeah, I was kind of curious on that about the population there too. Yeah,
This one's set for 3,000.
Yeah. Okay, good, okay. Councillor Wardrop, yeah.
Just to add on to that, yes, the system is there, is the 3,000. Up to 20,000, there's, it's just scalable, so you just have more cells.
Right.
After 20,000, that's where you do add in an element of mechanical system, I guess, where you'd have the water and the wastewater. It would have to be flushed mechanically, but up to 20,000, it's just a matter of scaling up or down with like building more cells.
Yeah, just curious, any of you guys, the cost of that and how were they funded on that? Or how did they get the funding on that?
The communities themselves, how they funded it?
Yeah.
Or, I'm not 100% sure. I could.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah, we can find out. I was just kind of curious if they talked about that, eh? But,
No,
Yeah.
that wasn't brought up, but
yeah,
I'm sure there was an incentive brought in for them to start this because it is such a new program.
yeah.
Their system was a little bit unique in that they were like these communities, the surrounding communities were kind of buying in, so they were, from what I gather, there were financial contributions and just coordination with these kind of smaller communities, and so they kind of pooled together and got that working.
Okay, perfect. Okay, Council, good enough, yeah.
Also, it's, this is a prototype at this time because of the temperature, and southern Alberta gets colder, as we know, minus 30 we can get up to, and they're thinking that this system is good up to minus 20 at this point. So they're going to kind of be watching that to make sure that the flows. So it is kind of a prototype, but very economical and cost savings. One of the things that I did love on it was that you're not looking at a pond, you're looking, you look at trees and natural
marsh, yeah.
growth. Beautiful, and where you can actually have, their goal is to get to where walking paths, it can be for walking paths, and you wouldn't even know you're walking by a wastewater
Yeah, no
treatment
smell.
plant.
No
Yeah,
smell.
no smell.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Okay, good, okay, thank you. Okay, Councillor Jessica there, you were at RMA there.
Thank you. Yes, Mayor Peach and I attended the Rural Municipalities Conference in Edmonton, and as you'd expect, much of the focus and discussion was on rural concerns. But Brooks is a largely rural-based community, and there was substantial overlap with our own issues, and these included health care and policing, agricultural and irrigation. So it was well attended and very interesting conference. Talking about the future of the RCMP, K Division presented there, and they did restate that the RCMP, do not want out-of-contract policing at this time, and while it's a federal decision, no such move is planned. The funding model is being improved to provide better service, and that's been a big rural issue for a long time about response times and what they'd like to have and what they can have. Officer vacancies are a top priority with a 1.5% shortage in 2020 compared to 6% in 2023. But they said that the recruiting program is working, automatic transfers have been eliminated, and communities will be able to provide input in selecting detachment commanders. So they're making some changes. One presentation was Voices in Unison, dealing with conflict as a counselor, and fostering dialogue amidst controversy or disagreement. So this wasn't fighting amongst ourselves, but when you're dealing with an issue where there is some controversy in the community. So I talked about debate versus dialogue, the importance of listening. Understanding is different from agreeing. Rules of engagement, so listen without defending and speak without offending. How to prevent escalation, which is quite important, and also important setting limits, knowing how and when to walk away, and how to disengage without poisoning the whole process. So it was a pretty good little presentation. The main one was the RMA Committee on Quasi-Judicial Agencies, and it was struck in response to member concerns about the lack of municipal input into developments approved by the quasi-judicial agencies in their regulatory processes. And these agencies are the Alberta Energy and Resources, AER, which was formed in 2013, NRCB, National Resources Conservation Board, which was formed in 1991, and mainly Alberta Utilities Commission, formed in 2008, which actually predates renewables. So they were not considered in its mandate when it was formed. So that committee came out with 5 concern themes and 8 recommendations to the province to better align these organizations with municipalities. Also what came out, Brownlee LLP, which is I think the #1 legal firm for municipal issues, was contracted to review the mandates and powers of these 3 agencies and to provide recommendations for consideration by the province for changes. So 3 recommendations were directed at AER, 2 at NRCB, and 10 at AUC, and 1 at all 3. So the recommendations ranged from administrative to municipal participation in the approval process, to enforcement, to tax arrears, to updating the agencies in light of changes that have taken place since they were created. Most relevant to ourselves are the 7 that relate to renewable projects from inception to reclamation. So there's some very valuable things came out of that. Danielle Smith spoke briefly on the changes to AHS, dividing AHS into primary care, continuing care, acute care, and mental health, and the formation of 12 regional advisory boards. The 6-month pause in renewables projects was due to concerns about prime agricultural land loss and responsibility for reclamation. And there was a short question and answer session. So they asked about the Alberta strategy for roads and bridges in need of replacement and repair. And so funding in municipalities is the same as last year, and they'll now be adjusted in conjunction with provincial revenues. So in the future, what has replaced the MSI, when the province has a good year, we all have a good year. When the province has a bad year, we all have a bad year. So hopefully there'll be lots of good years coming up. Projects will be prioritized, such as transportation related to industrial residential growth. So when they're figuring which roads need work, the ones that would be supplying the energy industry or some industry will get priority after roads that go nowhere and are not used. And it will include maintenance and upgrade and water and wastewater. There was a concern about regulators not listening to municipalities on project approvals, and that was related to this Brownlee report. And what they're doing, planning is developing a provincial land use and infrastructure maps that would show everything that is happening industrially and agriculturally in the province to help guide siting of projects. And they're close to consultation on that. Support for rural core infrastructure, and the feds are about to, this may affect us as well, the feds are about to renew their infrastructure programs, and they were saying that unlike Alberta, Quebec applies for the funding on behalf of everybody and then distributes it. So maybe a similar process could work better and distribute more fairly here. Small airport support, there's too much centralization, so she said the province understands the concern and it's a priority. Alberta Victim Services status, the province will develop at least 7 hubs to replace 60 existing agencies. And I did do a Reader's Digest version of all the question and answer sessions with the ministers, so if anybody is really, really bored or wants to find out what the questions are that were being asked of all the ministers by the rural municipalities, if they contact me, I'll be happy to send them a copy. It may come in handy getting to sleep at night. So, and finally, you know, there's perception reality. There's been a lot of talk about the gas tax, and the RMA, who was probably not a big fan of the gas tax, did do a study of the cost of the federal fuel surcharge, and actually there's more return to the consumer than they paid. So
You're talking the carbon tax or the gas tax?
The carbon tax.
The carbon tax, yeah.
Yeah, the CAI payments.
Yeah.
So you're getting, people have been getting payment quarterly into their accounts and not realizing that this was money coming back from the carbon tax. And so for less than 1,000 population, it's $570, 1,000 to 29,999, $540, 30,000 to 99,999, $680, and over 100,000, $580. So average of $580 return. And that was good. It was a good event.
Yeah, it was interesting. We think of ourselves as urban, but we're really in a lot of cases we're rural. The issues they have there are a lot of the issues that we have in the city of Brooks, whether it be getting teachers or healthcare workers or schools or things like that too. But the interesting thing coming up here, and they said it would be done by the end of the year, will be the funding model for LGFF too. And I think we do have a little difference between urbans and the rurals on that one. So that will be interesting on how that comes out there too. Okay.
Yeah, I think Rick McIver said when he's done, if nobody's happy, he'll know he did it right.
Then he did it right, yeah. But they said by the end of the year, so it'd be kind of nice to know about that there too. So, okay, to the motion. All those in favor of the reports? Carried. Okay, moved by Councillor Idris that the December 3rd, 2023, be hereby proclaimed as the International Day of Persons with Different Abilities in the City of Brooks. Amy.
Thank you. Through the chair to Mayor and Council. In 1992, the United Nations proclaimed December 3rd as the International Day of Disabled Persons, and in 2007, it was renamed and is now the International Day of Persons with Disabilities. The city changed this name to the International Day of Persons with Different Abilities in 2017. Excuse me. Over 1 billion people, or approximately 15% of the world's population, live with some form of different ability. We celebrate the contributions of people with different abilities while acknowledging the challenges and barriers they encounter. In recognition, Access Transit will give away a ticket valid for 1 free trip on Access Transit to qualified ridership. City staff contacted sledge hockey and wheelchair basketball organizations to host an event to recognize this day. However, schedules could not be aligned, but we will keep this in mind for next year. Therefore, administration is recommending that December 3rd, 2023 be hereby proclaimed as the International Day of Persons with Different Abilities in the City of Brooks.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Okay, to the motion, all those in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Jessica that council accept the City of Brooks Trails Master Plan as information. Phil. The long-awaited report.
What's that?
The long-awaited report.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I have to do it. All right, on October 17, 2022, council awarded the Trails and Beautification Master, I should have said, through the chair to mayor and council, sorry about that. But it was on October 17th, 2022, council awarded the Trails and Beautification Master Plan project to RF Benny and Associate Limited. The final draft was submitted on October 3rd, 2023. Staff presented the final draft to the Brooks and District Recreation and Parks Board on October 18, 2023. Dwayne Perkins made a motion that Brooks and District Recreation and Parks Board formally accept the Benny and Associates Trails Master Plan as information, and furthermore, that the Recreation Parks Board forward the plan to City Council for formal adoption. It was seconded by Laura Lukey, and the motion was carried. Therefore, staff is recommending that Council accept the Trails Master Plan as information. Respectfully submitted.
Okay, I'm just going to ask somebody from the rec board, either Councillor Woodrup or Nisbet, what were your guys' views on that, the master plan?
My view?
Yeah, or no, from the rec board, yeah. Councillor Woodrup, yeah.
Well, first of all, overall, we're excited to see the master plan. This is something that we've been waiting a long time to see. A couple items that I kind of took note of, and I'd say overall, happy, very happy. There were a couple things that, and I'm not sure if Phil can address them, but one of the issues that kind of has been brought up repeatedly on the rec board in terms of like paths and cycling was that our main roads are not very user-friendly if you want to be walking or cycling, and that was something that I kind of see, I guess, lacking in the plan. Overall, I really like it, but there is, you know, if you look down Castles or 2nd Street, and I'm not sure if that's just like not a feasible addition to make to the plan, or if that would just be too invasive or a lot of construction. But that is a major complaint or an issue that is brought up. It was brought up at the board quite a few times over the last couple of years, and just anecdotally as well.
Yeah, there has to be a way. I know what you're saying. There has to be, first of all, I know new communities, whether it be Chestermere or Airdrie, they can embed their trails in, and you don't have to go through a pedestrian area or a roadway. It's a little bit more difficult for us here too, but we have to find a way to connect. I know what you're saying is connect our pathways through the road.
The major arteries, right?
The major artery, yeah, without being a detriment to the traffic or anybody else on that.
Yeah, so, I mean, that would be my only, the big thing that stands out there. And, yeah, so I'd like to hear maybe some feedback from Benny, or what their suggestions would be, or what could a potential solution look like there. And the other thing, and I guess this is just straying from the Parks Board, this is just my own question, if that's all right. When I look at on page 20, the priority map, where you've got phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3 based on priorities, and maybe I'm just reading this wrong, but that is a possibility. Where I'm looking for where the new dog park is being constructed, the path there is priority 2, like in phase 2, and then the other part would be phase 3. So that's 2 and then 3. Yeah, so I would like to see, I have a question that I think that would maybe be one of our top priorities with that new build happening quickly. People are excited to get out there, and it'd be nice to connect the trail to the dog park. So I'd like to see that move to the green trail, the phase 1 and priority 1. And maybe that is, maybe it has something to do with the current construction going on there, and so that would be a question I'd like to maybe have Benny give some feedback on as well.
Okay.
I'll let someone else talk
Yeah,
now.
yeah, Councilor Nesbitt, yeah, any comments from you?
Quite on the contrary, I was very happy with the plan. I understand being a smaller community, we have to make some allowances for the continuation of the pathways, and I thought it was very well done personally, and I understand Councillor Wardrop's issues with some of but I think it can all be worked out. I think it was well done.
Yeah, some things that was, I found kind of interesting is, well, a lot of people are using the pathways. And the interesting thing I found is that people over 60 actually use them quite a bit in the winter. And they certainly appreciate them being plowed or cleared off there too, and I know that. And I think just to probably give you a reason why maybe the more people 60 and over are using them in the winter is because we can use them in the daylight. You know, whereas under that, they're working and they can't get out in the evening there. And that's why I think it was mentioned a few times in there about the safety and the lights on some of the pathways there too. And that might change that dynamic around. And I know I get a little pushback on that there too. But those are some of the interesting things, you know, like I found about that there too. But yeah, so, okay, go ahead, Councilor Wardrop. Did you have one more there? Or you could, okay.
Just to add on to your comment, I think that's absolutely right. And it was mentioned in the survey that, like, overall, people feel really safe and feel confident going out on our trails, and that they are really well kept, even during the winter. It's fantastic. But that's exactly it. So if we want to increase the demographic of people using the trails, they do need to be lighted. So I think that's more than enough justification to really push the lighted trails.
Yeah, and especially Lake Stafford's good, and somebody I think had mentioned about maybe lighted and safety on the way out to the CRA there too, and I think in both cases aesthetically it would look good,
Yeah.
you know, traveling out to the CRA and even around Lake Stafford there too. Councilor Jessica, you had a comment?
No, I thought they did a really nice job. They went in a lot of detail for the short-term improvements, and costs are all in there, and a nice breakdown on the condition of existing facilities, and provide some direction there. Just to make people aware, I imagine that this report is available on our website too, if anybody wants to look at it, or will be.
What was that?
Is this report on our website yet, or will be,
I'm not quite sure about that.
after it's passed?
Go ahead there, Ellen, yeah.
Yes, after, through the chair to Councillor Jessica, after we pass it, we can post that for sure.
Okay, good, okay. Okay, to the motion there. Okay, council accept the City of Brooks Trails Master Plan as information. All those in favor? Carried. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, moved by Councilor Nesbitt that council permanently approve the Toys for Ticket program, and further that should any changes need to be made in the future, the program can be forwarded to a council committee for discussion. Okay, Amy?
Thank you. Through the chair to mayor and council. To recap the Toys for Tickets program, it allows residents to pay for a $57 parking ticket that they receive with a new unwrapped toy. Once the toy has been collected, then the ticket is absolved. The toys collected are then donated to Smiles for Christmas, and it must be valued at $30 or more, and they have to submit a receipt for proof. So council committee approved the 2023 program during the November 14th council committee meeting. However, it was suggested that the program be approved permanently so staff don't have to continue to bring it forward each year. If administration or a future council would like to review or make changes to the program at any time, it can be brought back to a council committee meeting for discussion. Therefore, administration is recommending that council permanently approve the Toys for Tickets program, and further that should any changes need to be made in the future, the program can be forwarded to council committee for discussion.
Okay, any questions? Okay, no, okay, just trying to speed up the process here. Okay, to the motion, all those in favor, carried. Okay, moved by Councilor Prentice that the additional cost for the City Hall carpet replacement be funded from the council projects reserve up to an additional $15,000. This is Amy again. Okay, yeah. Go ahead,
Again,
Amy.
thank you. Through the chair to mayor and council, again, to recap, City Hall carpet replacement. In the 2020 budget, the carpet was identified here for replacement, and $45,000 was allocated from the council projects reserve to do so. The carpet has yet to be replaced and is continually identified on workplace inspections as a potential hazard, as it is lifting in many places. There is $41,833 remaining for the replacement, as some funding was utilized to replace the Hayes Room carpet and the coffee room flooring. So in the quotes we received, I'm proposing that the mid-grade carpet tile be chosen at a cost of almost $57,000, which leaves approximately $15,000 unfunded. And the council projects reserve has a balance of just over $115,000 after that $41,833 is used. And administration is proposing that $15,000 be transferred to operating to fund the carpet replacement. And staff are also working to get an additional quote from any local suppliers as requested at the council committee meeting. Therefore, administration is recommending that the additional cost for the City Hall carpet replacement be funded from the council projects reserve up to an additional $15,000.
Okay, long overdue. Yeah, this has been, basically, that's the right answer for that, long overdue. Okay, to the motion, all those in favor? Or did anybody have any questions? Councillor Goodenough.
I'm just curious, why is this coming out of council project reserves? When we knew this was a project that would be coming up.
So the original, Shelley, correct me if I'm wrong, the original $45,000 was taken out of the council projects reserve in 2020, and since we don't have enough funding to cover the remaining, we would be taking that $15,000 from the same reserve.
Right, I guess I'm just wondering, how come it's out of that council reserve, like out of that fund? Council projects, that's what I'm wondering, sorry.
I'll try and answer that for you through the chair to Councillor Goodenough. So during budget deliberations, because there was a lack of funding for this particular project, it was left out, and council felt that it was something that we should be doing, and at that time, council suggested that the funding come out of council projects.
Okay, to the motion, all those in favor? Carried, okay. Moved by Councillor Wardrop that the amended 2024 Shortgrass Library System budget be approved. Shelley.
Thank you through the chair to mayor and council. So Shortgrass Library System, of course, I'll refer to it as SLS, provides library support system to member municipalities. And the Brooks Public Library has been a member since 1988. City Council passed a motion on October 17th, 2022 to approve the SLS municipal requisition of $4.97 per capita in 2023 and $5.13 per capita in 2024. So the SLS has recently sent a letter to Brooks City Council reducing their 2024 municipal levy back down to the 2023 per capita amount of $4.97. With this reduction, the total municipal levy for the city of Brooks will remain at $71,821.47 for 2024. They did request that a motion be made approving their budget and this requisition. So the recommendation is that the amended 2024 Shortgrass Library System budget be approved.
Okay, any questions? Councillor Idris.
Is there also a need to include the per capita? Because the per capita we approved last year is different.
I was hoping you wouldn't notice that.
Through the chair to Councillor Idris, in the motion. So I'm not exactly sure of technically the answer to that, but they did, we asked them when this came forward if the approval could be done in budget, because of course there's no increase, so does it have to go to council? And they sent Jenny reached out for me, and they sent her a snippet, see if I can find it here, saying that they needed a formal approval of their budget in a motion from council. So that's what we've brought forward. Seeing that there's no increase to our budget, I'm not sure that the per capita amount needs to be in there, but if,
I will,
Through the chair to Councillor Idris, I'm thinking that maybe they didn't adjust any of the populations, potentially, and you may know better now, but, so I thought that they did that. And we just did we didn't go the per capita amount, because if we use the per capita, if we use our new population, of course, we'd have to do more. And the intent, from what I see here, is they just want the 71,821 based on their previous populations.
Yes, I do understand that they use like a specific number and based on that number, but my not concern, but when we passed the last motion last year, we passed both the budget and the 4.97. So my idea is that to amend this motion to say that the amended 2024 short grass library system budget be approved and the capita be set at 4.97. So that is very clear, and it fixed that motion from last year.
So what are you asking for here then? The per capita stays the same?
Yes.
At 497. Are you asking for the population to change that?
No.
No.
Just that 497 be in the motion.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying, okay. We need the Jeopardy music while we wait, eh? do. Okay, Alan, yeah.
Okay, just for a clarification through the chair to Councillor Idris, so that the motion be amended to read that the short grass library system budget be approved at 497 per capita. Would you want that full amount in there as well?
Like I think it says here the budget, the short grass library, the amended 2024, so it is the amended, that they said that.
Okay, so there's the amendment.
Yeah, okay, yeah, and again, just to read it again, moved by Councillor, Idris, that the motion be amended, that the short grass library system be approved at, per capita at 497 per capita there. Okay, is that right?
Now you're voting on the amendment.
And we're just voting on the amendment. Yeah.
And that is what happened. So the motion will read that the amended 2024 short grass library system budget be approved at the municipal requisition of 4.97.
So, sorry, that the motion be amended to read that the amended 2024 short grass library system budget be approved at 497 per capita.
Yep.
Okay. All those in favor of the amendment, okay, carried. And then we have to go on, Moved by Councillor Wardrop that the amended 2024 short grass library system budget be approved as amended. Okay, all those in favor? Okay, carried. Okay, thank you, okay. Moved by Councillor Prentice that policy F001-012B and policy F-001-013C be approved. Xiangli.
Thank you. Through the chair to mayor and council. The City of Brooks has 4 policies which were designed to guide council and management in the development of a sustainable long-range capital plan, as well as annual operating and capital budgets. All 4 policies were reviewed at Council Committee on November 14th, 2023, and 2 of the policies have been forwarded to Council with recommended changes for formal approval. So the first is policy F001012B, the financial planning policy, sources and uses of fund. This policy outlines and defines guidelines regarding revenue streams and expenditures in order to maintain financial sustainability. There are a couple of minor changes regarding the wording in this policy, as well as the provision in Section 5 to adjust user fees to reflect inflation in years which they are not reviewed and updated, so that has been removed. It's just a practice that we haven't done, and we usually review our user fees on an annual basis. The next policy is policy F001013C, which is our reserves policy, and there's quite a few changes that are recommended here. So this policy provides standards and guidelines on managing existing reserve funds and establishing new reserves. It defines reserves as operating, capital, and off-site levy reserves, and provides general guidelines, limits, and targets. As well, a schedule of reserves is attached to the policy, which defines each reserve listing, its purpose, source of funding, and application. The policy and the schedule of reserves has been updated with the following changes. So first, the definition of operating capital reserves has been added to the policy. This is recommended as some of the city reserves currently have both operating and capital sources and applications, and there's no specific need to have to separate them into 2 reserves. The schedule has been revised to updated so that the type of reserve is noted. However, the reserves are not sequentially listed by their specific type, as it was in the previous draft or previous policy. The name of the general operating reserve has been changed to the operating contingency reserve. The wording has been changed to clarify that amounts in the operating contingency reserve may be used for any one-time expenditures that have been approved by council. Currently, this is a change to how surpluses in interest revenue is applied, but currently any interest revenue over 1.5% of our reserve balance is will be transferred to the stabilization reserve. It is recommended, due to increasing and fluctuating interest rates, that 50% of any amounts over 2.5% of the city's reserve balance be transferred to the stabilization reserve, and the other 50% be transferred to the operating contingency reserve. In times of higher interest rates, this distribution allows more flexibility in the use of this earned income. The increase in the percentages have been updated from 1% to 1.5% to 2.5% to reflect the average in the past 8 years, and a trend analysis has been attached at the back of this report. It's also been clarified that budget shortfalls of interest revenues may be funded from the stabilization reserve. Another change is 25% of municipal property tax collected as a result of assessment growth was included in both stabilization reserve and the general capital reserve as a source of funding. It is recommended to remove these sources of funding, as expenditures relating to growth are typically addressed directly in operating and capital budgets. The Water Surface Irrigation Operating Reserve and the Water Surface Irrigation Capital Reserve has been combined into one reserve and on the policy, and the name has been changed back to the Environmental Surplus Reserve. The only recommended change is the removal of water amounts collected through the city's off-site levy policy and bylaw as a source of funding, This is no longer applicable, as all offsite levies should be transferred to the corresponding offsite levy reserve pursuant to the city's current offsite levy bylaw. The sanitary sewer operating and capitals reserves have been combined into one reserve, and as only one reserve is currently being used, and the only recommended change to that reserve is the removal again of the sanitary sewer amounts collected through the city's offsite levy policy and bylaw, as that is no longer applicable, as mentioned before. The waste management operating reserve and the waste management capital reserve also have been combined into one reserve, as only one reserve is currently being used. 50% of the city's year-end general operations surplus is currently being transferred to the council projects reserve, and it is recommended that this be reduced to 25%, and the other 25% would be transferred to the capital general reserve, as this reserve does not have sufficient sources of revenue established. Other changes: amounts collected through the city's offsite levy policy and bylaw have been removed as a source of funding in the general capital reserve again, as it's no longer applicable. And finally, the storm sewer capital reserve has been removed from the schedule, as the balance of this reserve is very insignificant and has been and it's recommended that it be transferred to the general capital reserve, as storm capital projects would qualify to be funded from this reserve. So the recommendation is that policy F001012B and policy F001013C be approved.
Okay, we've gone through this before here, but okay, any questions? Okay, to the motion, all those in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Jessica that the financial variance report for November be accepted as information. Shall we?
Thank you. Through the chair to mayor and council. I'm just going to find it here. Yes, I do. Thanks. So this report finds the city approximately 87% of the way through the 2023 year already. Overall, we're in line with either our original operating budgets or our forecasts for the year end, which were presented at council last month. So when we do those forecasts, we look at every single line. We really did try to identify most of our anticipated year-end variances. So the only item that was not known to us at the time that the forecast was presented was the needed repairs to the library elevator doors. These repairs are necessary to comply with safety standards and are anticipated to cost about $6,200. The costs have not been recorded yet, so they're not reflected in the actual report that's attached, but we just brought it forward as something new. We do anticipate that it probably won't create a variance at the end of the year and should be absorbed within the current operating budget. There are no notable variances in the capital budget that haven't been mentioned in earlier reports, and the recommendation is this report be accepted as information.
Okay, any questions? Okay, to the motion, all those in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Goodenough that council will approve the closure and removal of the attached charges from the specified utility accounts. Shall we? Or, sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, Deanna, no, I didn't see you creep up there.
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead,
To the
Deanna.
chair, mayor, and council. A priority for the finance department in 2023 is to develop and implement sound collection procedures for utility charges that will improve efficiencies within our department, resulting in a higher rate of collections and keep our financial records up to date. Bylaw 23/08, the utility rates bylaw, was passed on April 17, 2023, and the collection policy F001014 was updated at the same time. The changes that have been implemented in both the bylaw and the policy have had a positive effect on utility collections and our internal processes. Administration has always followed a prescribed collection process to collect utility payments involving letters, phone calls, and final measures as a discontinuing services in the case of renters, or transferring an unpaid balance to the property tax in case of property owners. Unfortunately, some customers move away without notifying us, making these measures ineffective. Therefore, collecting their final bill becomes a challenge. In these cases, our only recourse is to send them to collections. Attached is a list of account balances that have either been in collections for over 7 years and are now uncollectible due to their age, or all collection efforts have been exhausted. The listing includes the following amounts: owners in the amount of $43,426.30, renters in the amount of $78,175.73, the total uncollectible amounts of $121,602.03. These amounts have already been expensed to bad debts and recorded as an allowance for doubtful accounts in our 2022 financial statements. And at this time, we would like to remove the charges and close the accounts. So, recommendation is that council approve the closure and removal of the attached charges from the specified utility accounts.
Okay, any questions? Councillor Goodenough.
I can understand wanting to get these off as quick as possible. I'm just curious on when it comes to the owners of the property, why would we not go back on to the property owners? I understand like 2010, it's probably changed ownership, I'm guessing, or what would be the reason for not just putting on their property taxes?
Councillor Goodenough, in some cases, that normally they run a tax certificate and the utilities gets missed in the tax certificate for to pay it off, and by the time the 120 days is up and then it goes to collections, it's already moved into the new owner, and then we can't transfer it.
Okay.
Oh.
Go ahead, Shelley.
And through the chair to Councillor Goodenough, in most cases, these are owners that have moved away, and they've just moved and not notified before we realize that they've moved, and we, now they don't, if they don't own another property in Brooks, then we can't, we
Right.
don't have any recourse
Yeah, no, it's
as well.
Okay, thank you very much.
Councillor Jessica.
You talked about the change in the policy back in April, so that's fully implemented now. So that should eliminate a lot of this in the future, at least the bulk of it. What kind of response have we gotten over the intervening months from the landowners on that?
To Councillor Jessica, we've only had a couple residents that complain. We haven't had any major flack for the changes. Not that we've seen in, like my utility clerk noted, it was just a couple people.
Okay, to the motion. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. I don't know, Bruce, I don't know if there's any media on there. No media, okay. Moved by Councillor Idris that the meeting adjourned at 5:52 p.m. All those in favor?